With 2020 drawing to a close, it's time to sit back and reflect on the year. And what a year it's been! Not even mentioning the massive events that have taken place in the real world, it's been quite a busy one for me and my channel. With that in mind, let's take a look at the worst 5 models I've built this year. Not because I did a bad job of finishing them, but because they were not great to build. Hey guys, Matt from Model Minutes here, and this is my list of my worst 5 models of 2020. It's taken me a little while to finalise this list, as I managed to get through quite a number of models this year, but without any further ado, let's get into it. So, coming in at number 5. The Revell Steerman KDT in 1/72nd scale. Now, this kit is not terrible, it actually is relatively easy to build and looks okay when it's finished. It's just missing a lot of detail. The fit of the parts is a bit funny in a few places, and the crew figures just looked odd, which is why I didn't use them. If you're looking for a kit to mess about with, maybe just to have a bit of fun and not be too serious, then this would be perfect. But I feel as though it's showing its age now, and it's probably time that Revell looked at retooling this one. At 4th place is the Airfix Churchill Mk7. Again, when built it actually looks okay. The main problems with this kit rear their head during the build process. This is one of those vintage kits from Airfix, and just like the model in 5th place, it's showing its age now. All those little wheels are quite fiddly to get right, and it comes with rubber band tracks, which I'm not a fan of. I feel that if this had been my first introduction to scale modelling, it could quite possibly have put me off. I'm not sure I would be tempted to build this one again. In 3rd position is the Mirage 3C in 1/48 scale from Academy. Generally, this kit is not difficult to build or paint. The issues I do have with this model are that Academy's definition of what highly detailed means clearly differs from mine. On the box, we're told that we will get a highly detailed cockpit, and yes, whilst elements of the cockpit are present, it's not exactly detailed. Maybe in the 1980s, when this kit was first made, it would have been considered highly detailed, but sadly not today. Also, those included decals were just terrible to apply, being thin and papery, not conforming to the shape of the model, and being difficult to use are part of the reason why this kit is the 3rd worst model I've built this year. Before I get into the worst 2 models of 2020, let's take a look at some honourable mentions. Firstly, let's talk about the Dapol 57-foot Suburban coach kit. Now, I just want to say that for the money, the kit is actually quite good. I did really enjoy building this one, and I love watching it run around my garden railway. The reason why I think it deserves a mention here is due to the fact that Dapol, the manufacturer, messed up the instructions. If you try and build this following the pictures and wording that they have used, you will not be able to build the kit. For a company to release a kit with the instructions being so wrong baffles me. If I were to follow them, it would have meant cutting various parts of the chassis to get it right. Fortunately, logic prevailed, and I built the kit despite this problem. If you'd like more information, check out my video on this one. Another model worth mentioning is the Academy Panavia Tornado in 1/144th scale. Although fairly easy to build, the details are rather crude, and the instructions aren't particularly helpful. It also suffers from the same problem as the Mirage I mentioned earlier, those Academy decals. Again, they did not want to go onto the model as nicely as I would have liked. Oh well, at least this one is done now. Now, you're probably thinking, Matt, how can you afford to buy and build all these kits in a year? Well, that's a perfectly good question. It's thanks to my patrons over on Patreon and channel members here on YouTube. Their generous support goes back into allowing me to create content for the channel. If you'd like to join these people here on screen and learn more about the perks you would get as a patron or channel member, please take a look at the links in the description. If, however, you would like to support my channel for free, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on so that you never miss a modelling video. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome my new members with a shout out. They are John's Weekend Workshop on Patreon and Adrian as a channel member here on YouTube. Thanks for your support. Enough of that, let's get back to the list. Coming in as the second worst kit I've built this year is the Revell Ju87G2 Stuka in 1/72nd scale. Although I feel as though I did quite a good job of finishing this model, particularly with the little diorama base, the model just wasn't as fun as I would have liked. I am a fan of the fact it has that representation of an engine which allows you to make it into a diorama, but that wasn't really enough to save my opinion of this kit. The fit of the parts is funny in places, there was flash here and there, and it even looked like there were scratches from the moulding process on some of the parts. No crew is included either, which is a little disappointing. I made a few errors with my painting too, which resulted in some silvering of the decals. Don't get me wrong, I am pretty pleased with how it turned out, I'm just not sure I enjoyed building it as much as some of the other kits this year. Finally, taking the top spot as the worst kit I have built in 2020. I actually started this one in 2019, but didn't finish it until after the new year. And if you are a follower of my channel, it will be no surprise which kit I'm talking about. It is, of course, the Mr. Craft PZL37B in 1/72nd scale. This is an inexpensive kit of an interesting subject, but that is pretty much where the positives finish. The instructions were a little vague in places, the decals were not great, but the main problem areas were the plastic parts. Initially I was missing some as the sprues were loose in the box. Fortunately, Mr. Craft fixed the issue by sending me some more sprues. But sadly, the fit of the plastic parts was pretty bad. There was quite a lot of flash and the details were a bit, well, chunky or non-existent. I can't wholeheartedly blame the model though, as I did have an issue with some of my paint peeling due to a reaction with some spray varnish. That is very much on my head as I didn't check the ingredients and if they would react or not, but that's a lesson learnt. That being said, I would have liked to start 2020 on a high rather than a low, but I guess it was just a bit of foreshadowing for how the rest of the year was going to be. And with that, my list of the worst 5 model kits of 2020 is now complete. What did you think of my selection? Do you agree with my list, or do you think there were other kits on my channel that were worse? Also, feel free to tell me which kit you built was the worst this year. Let me know down in the comments. If you take a look in the description of the video, you'll also find links to connect with me on various social media platforms. Finally, I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you on the workbench again next time.